Hello, mic check, test. This thing on? There's the live feed, 14 people coming in on a Thursday afternoon. I'm here with the NXTZEN team because we did
Hashtag Friday morning.
Hashtag Friday morning in Australia. What time is it over there?
It is 9:02 a.m.
Ooh, that's early.
Yeah,
that is
we're just
early,
getting started, mate. I'm 2 coffees in.
Nice. If it's a 2 coffee morning, it's it's only up from there. So glad to have y'all here. We recently had a collab product drop this week. We had the NXTZEN consumer grade ceramic.
Been a long time coming.
Been a long time coming. Unfortunately, this box showed up damaged, Joel. So flop.
All good.
So back to the drawing board on that box. But we're going to focus on this box. You know how shipping is, everybody. So the one that we be honest with Joe,
the one thing you can always rely on, right?
Smashed. Yeah. So it happens.
I don't know what it is, but because we do a lot of shipping.
Yeah.
And I think they have like gorillas that are working back there, because sometimes they'll send me, like, people will send me pictures of the stuff they get.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn, what the hell happened to that?
What happened? What could you have possibly done? I'll get a box and it'll have a hole in the middle of the box with like a wet spot around it, but nothing leaked. There's a hole. Nothing got damaged. What happened here?
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. I've actually had guys send me pictures where somewhere along the lines they took another box and patched a hole or something, and so they're like, well, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the lines it got redone.
One time,
that's a good effort.
One time I got a box, and it was mangled and had like tape, like just literally like wrapped like this around it. I got it all unboxed and opened it, and there was nothing in it from the order. Nothing. There was someone else's mail, and I think it was like a Black History Month poster.
Well, that'd be a great explanation to get on that one.
I would love to see the story of what this box went through on its journey to my garage, because it's just craziness. But anyway, we're here with NXTZEN. We got NXTZEN Australia, Joel, who is the chemist for NXTZEN. You whip it up, don't you, Joel?
Yeah, I whip it up. I can't take all the credit, but I'm the guy that does the blending.
And you're a fine blender, sir. And we got Anthony from NXTZEN, Texas. He's down there, over there in Texas, cutting it up with old Ron, Tim.
Yeah.
How things been going down there in NXTZEN, Texas?
Good. Tim's out of state at the moment, and Ron has to meet with his AC guy, or he'd be here. And in Texas,
you gotta get that AC working. It's priority number one. If that bug goes out, look, you stop all things. You don't call nobody except the guy, and you got to meet him there. Yeah, and that podcast ain't worth it at that point. You got to get that AC back on.
Yeah, pretty much anytime you buy a vehicle, it's like, all right, well, does it start and does it have AC?
Yep. Yeah. It ain't gonna cut it around here.
That's the 2 criteria.
That is the 2 criteria. That's right. So if y'all have questions for NXTZEN, start dropping them. I'll start finding them, starring them, and we'll build up to a Q&A. But the story goes, we go back to MTE, walk up to Joel's booth, handshake, blah, 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 talking, doing an interview on camera, and Joel's whips these bad boys out. He's got 2 of them, 2 boxes of NXTZEN ceramic. And we're like, what are those, Joel? And Anthony just dropped out. Oh, boy. NXTZEN Texas needs some new Wi-Fi, all right? Now, I literally think StreamYard's been on the fritz. It's been acting weird all day. So hold on to your horses, everybody. This might be a wild ride. But Joel, explain to us what you gave us back at MTE and what the goal was.
Yeah, so it actually goes back further than that.
StreamYard right now is acting weird, Anthony, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Welcome back, mate.
They don't want to talk
back. Yeah.
it actually goes back further than that, and a conversation with Eddie and myself at SEMA last year, and
that you needed
we got
a consumer grade. We've been hammering you since like last summer. Like
something above the 365 Pro, to feed everyone's appetite for the consumer grade DIY coating. So we did have something that we've been distributing around other regions, but we excluded, unfortunately, North America as it wasn't carb compliant with all the California business going on there. So we had to look at alternative solvents initially to provide a product that's actually compliant and can be shipped into California. So that's where we ended up.
Keep the good stuff over there, Joel. We don't want no part of the good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to make it compliant for California.
Yeah, that's
we got a lot of details for California, so they're going to be real happy. So appreciate it, Joel, for future proofing it. You know what I mean? So.
No, you're welcome. So we came up with those two initial formulations, which are based around two solvent systems that are VOC exempt for California, and we provided those to you at MTE, and that was the initial step, that was the easy part, just getting the solvents, but then our friend Jamie decided to step it up a notch for us and said, hey, this one, it's not too bad. This one's not too good. How about,
actually they were both pretty good. They just had traits that I wanted to fuse together. And it started actually, let's take a step back. Eddie was supposed to test him. You actually gave him to go test. Let's be honest here. And then Eddie, before I got on the plane, goes, I ain't testing this crap. You go test it. So he sent him home to the swamp for some swamp testing. So I did the testing for NXTZEN, and we applied them. I applied them both in 2 squares. That's how I like to test stuff. And the application of A, I believe, was just like, it don't get easier than that. Like, you couldn't mess it up. It was so freaking easy. B was super thick. Pretty hard to buff off. You just had to put a little bit extra elbow grease in it. And I was like, okay. A couple weeks went by, and it was, I think some heavy rain came through. So a lot of traffic film coming up on the side, and I let it cook. I let all that stuff just cook on it for a little while, and then, gave it a wash, hit it with the rinse. Coating A was like half flat. Like, already you could see it's sheeting, and I didn't, I didn't even hit it with a high pH or acid or nothing. It probably brought it back, but it's like it failed. You know what I mean? Like, let's beef it up somewhere. Coating B was
was on the wall.
Yeah. Coating B was spectacular. Like, of course, washed up with pH neutral soap, no problem, rinsed, and super tight beads, super hydrophobic, and still super slick. So I'm like, all right, Joel, I like the application of A. I like performance of B. I don't know what you got in B. But B is the real deal. All right, it looks phenomenal. So smash them. I sent that to you. What'd you do from there?
Yeah, so look, it's always about a bit of a balancing act when it comes to formulating. There's so many different aspects that people need, and when it comes to the DIY side of things, like as you mentioned in coating A, it was super easy to use, and that was one of the aspects that we were going for, and option B, which was a bit more finicky, but you saw the performance was there. So basically we had to go back to the drawing board and play around with the different balances on things. We chucked a little bit of isopropanol in there to keep it from going off in the bottle. That's another thing that you have to take into consideration, that the people using the product at home, take for granted, is it's trying to make a product also that can store in a bottle for an extended period of time.
Definitely.
When you're dealing with like components that are so reactive,
they're not doing a car every single day like Anthony down there. So that's
right.
You might use a little bit. They might not use it right off the bat. It might just set on a thing for 12 months. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So the shelf life of when you're distributing these things around, you don't know exactly how long it is going to sit on a shelf as well. So all that comes into factor. So but basically what we had to do was play around with the different balances of the materials. Take the hard route. The first playing around with solvents is easy, but when you start playing around with the other components, that's where it starts to get a little bit more tricky. So yes, essentially, what you're seeing is it's a PDMS backbone, which I mentioned to you previously, polydimethylsiloxane. So that's the primary component.
Totally understood what you just said. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's adhesion promoters and a few other things involved. So what we need to do is make sure that the product's going to adhere to the surface, in a strong manner and for a long period of time. At the same time, it's still going to be easy to use, and then on top of that, there's these other factors that are super important. When it comes to anti-clogging, chemical resistance, the hydrophobicity. Yeah. So, I don't know how far you want me to go on, but I can talk everyone's ears off for hours on this stuff.
Basic coating. I want to know like a basic, make it easy for people to understand, a basic coating recipe. Like is solvent, ceramic material. What else goes in there for like a basic, straightforward kind of a formula?
Yeah. So I guess the base of the formula comes down to the solvent. We'll say the solvent, like it's more or less inevitable that you need the solvent in there as a carrier solvent, but it comes down to the type of adhesion promoter that you're using. So, for example, in the early days, we were using polysilazane. That's well known.
So is that the actual ceramic, or is that the adhesion promoter part of a ceramic?
No, so it's a ceramic material. All the materials that I mentioned are all types of ceramic materials or inorganic materials. And look, ceramic itself, it has a broader identity than just what people imagine as being like some kind of glass material. It's ceramics broader than that.
In the early days it was like just glass coatings, right? That's what a lot of them would call it.
That's right. So your adhesion promoter, polysilazane or other ones, that we're using, which we won't mention. That's what creates the bond with the substrate. So you're talking SiO bonds. I believe polysilazane is known for SiN bonds. So the surface of the paint has these hydroxyl groups, and so does the coating itself. So you have this reaction, and essentially what happens is you're letting off two parts of hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen, which everyone knows is water. All right.
H2O.
So that's H2O, right? So you hear people talking about these are they're reacting with their moisture curing coatings, and this is just a part of the process and the cross-linking process. So that's one of the byproducts. So your adhesion promoter is your SiO bonds with the substrate, and then in the case of our product, PDMS, which forms the backbone of the formulation. If you think about, go into your kitchen right now and your rubber molds that you see, the non-stick molds that go in the oven, it's this type of material that we're talking about. So like a non-stick material. Yeah, right. And then there's some other resins.
Anthony's turn to tell us about coatings. All right, go Anthony, go. What you know?
No, you know, just if you put it in a nutshell,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, let's say Joel were to have this formula down, and then I mean everything is right, and then somebody says, "Hey, I want it to smell like bananas," and then okay, well, so you add that could possibly throw everything off of like what he's already done, and then
I
you
would
gotta,
love a banana scented ceramic coating. Look, if we can start putting sense in these things, we're off to the races. All right.
you know, and it's kind of also like way back in the day when we were working with paste waxes.
Yep.
If you had a paste wax that had
Hate them.
like a really great gloss, then you suffered on your durability end, and kind of vice versa. So there's a like what Joel does. There's a big balancing act, and I just know from some products, talking with him privately, you know, he goes home and kicks his cat, and I don't even know if he has a cat.
It does get a bit like that sometimes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look,
speaking of, so what did you do to soup this new one up?
Yeah, so I don't mean to go off on a huge tangent, but it is kind of important, particularly the anti-clogging side of things and the PDMS side of things, because I sort of feel like that's where we're at now with coatings, and I'll use polysiloxane again as an example. This material it was well known as an aggressive adhesion promoter, so you know. You put it on paint, it's going to stick like nothing else. But the issue is that as far as contamination resistance, it's really poor. So we've gotten to the point now in the industry where we can make a coating like stronger than anything that you can imagine. But if it's not going to perform the way it's intended in 6 months from now, or you park a car outside for a few months and go away on a holiday and come back and your coating's no longer working anymore, and you know all these acid washes and that aren't bringing back the beating, then it kind of like defeats the purpose, right? So
takes the joy away for sure.
Yeah, so it goes back to that balance again, where as far as the strength goes, yes, it needs to be to a certain level to have that longevity, but we need to find ways to prevent the daily issues that people come up against, and anti-clogging, I guess, was the main idea behind this product. The main goal
for years, I think details has been like, if once the coatings get an anti-clogging, you know, characteristic, now we're talking. You know what I mean? Like that's what I think people have been trying to reach for a long time. And how'd you think you've implemented it?
Yeah, so it comes down to what I mentioned with the PDMS, and so basically, you know, all the other components and resins aside that go into it, you know, the adhesion promoter and the PDMS themselves, they're the primary things. And so what actually happens when you apply it to the surface, the adhesion promoter is obviously going to migrate to the substrate, and then what you have is the PDMS actually wants to migrate to the outer surface of the coating, which is the non-stick effect that I was telling you about. So you get that initial non-stick, slick and smooth coating that's just going to repel you know, all this grime that you pick up, and it's not just hydrophobic, it's oleophobic, so it repels oils and grime that you pick up from the road.
Because you know, the sides of the panels, they're catching all that from the tires and stuff.
Right.
So, and that's every time, that's the spot behind them tires. They start clogging. It's real annoying to have to unclog them about every wash. So Rick G sums it up very well. I'd much rather have a super coating that's 12 months over an average coating that's 5 months. And let's be honest, I think the industry's been full of 5-year coatings that are just average coatings. And we've had to come up with, you know, 3 different soap lines and, you know, go back to ABC washing to get these dang things washed and cleaned right. Clay towels, iron removers. So I think that's pretty much the goal with this coating, is to have a super coating in a more short-term amount of time than trying to make a 10-year graphene super, that kind of deal.
That's right. Yeah. So for the DIY, there are some very durable coatings out there already that are quite easy to use, and that's what you just said. We're not trying to be that. We're trying to be a 3-year coating that's going to give people consistent performance over that time. And like all the DIYers, the weekend warriors that I know, they're always tinkering with their car anyway. So let's be real.
I mean, after
we're all
12
guilty.
months, it's like, let's polish this thing off and put something new on. Yeah. If you know the process, you want to put a new one on about every 12 months just to do it.
That's right. So that's where we're at with this, and as I mentioned, the chemistry behind that and the PDMS that migrates to the surface. And the magic about this stuff is that you're going to have these polymer chains within the matrix, the PDMS, that's going to continue to migrate to the surface, right? So it's almost, I'm hesitant to use the word self-healing, because people just go straight to the scratching and healing with heat and stuff like that, which PDMS can do also. But as far as self-healing is concerned, there's different definitions of that. And being able to self-heal itself and recover from contamination is another form of self-healing. And so that's the great thing about PDMS and the way it works over a long period of time.
Yeah, so I think that's the only, this is the first coating I think in the store with this kind of formulation for sure. And So
look, it's a broad range of materials in this category, but
so what was the missing? Like, remember coating A? What was it missing that coating B had to promote that?
So coating A, well, first of all, the solvent system itself was a much slower evaporating system. So the solvent itself can also affect the way that the coating itself cures and cross-links as it after you put on the surface. So that would have had an impact, and it also came down to the adhesion promoter itself as well. So as I mentioned, we're trying to make a product that was easy to use, and we achieved that. But at the same time, unfortunately, the rest of the formulation suffered in the process. So it was just a case of having to rebalance everything somewhere in between, and that's where we landed with. I think I might have sent you a couple more, if I remember correctly, and I think the second batch were much closer together, but one sort of came out on top of the other. So that if you imagine you've got two products that are far apart like this, and then we sort of came a bit closer to the center, or it might have been.
I think I thought they both were the same thing, so they were pretty. They were pretty similar. Yeah. So
well, that's a good thing.
Easy peasy, great self cleaning. I mean, I've been really enjoying this coating, the performance wise, because I've just let it go like a month and a half. Really trying to clog it up, and nothing stopped this thing. Only pH neutral, rinse. It's back full power, good to go. So I've had nothing but success with it. Anthony, have you got your hands on this thing yet? You've been testing it down there in Texas?
I have not had the version that you have.
Oh, you got the old version.
Yeah.
We got to get Anthony the new version, all right? But you have played with one of the samples, right?
What's that?
Said you did play with one of the newer samples, though, right?
Yeah.
So application from like the NXTZEN Pro stuff, which is known to be, serum-like, to the consumer grade one, how would you compare them?
Definitely a very consumer weekend warrior friendly, right? So even like Ceramic Professional, if you put that in a weekend warrior hand, if they're really, really good and they got experience, they shouldn't have an issue. but with the stuff that you have and that we've kind of messed with, yeah, no issues whatsoever. You should never have a high spot. If you got a controlled environment, you're going to be able to pretty much like coat one whole side of the car, if not the whole car.
Yep.
Before you do your leveling process. Yeah, works really, really nice. Great slickness, great gloss. Yeah.
The total package.
The great thing too, and a lot of people don't understand this, especially the pros, because we were just talking about this. There's more in the NXTZEN line. If you're a pro, there's more bang for your buck. As far as if you spend a certain amount of money, you're going to get more return, rather than some other products where you're going to spend, I'm going to spend $50-$60 and I'll get one car done.
Yep.
Right. And it's
100%.
Yeah.
Like that Pro 365 bottle will last so long.
Yeah.
I think I still got one in the freezer.
Yeah. You'll get average 10 to 12 cars out of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah. So from the choice of having that Pro 365 to this new consumer coating, Joel, what's the comparison there?
Look, it comes down to I think you're going to find that the 3-year, as far as the self-cleaning and contamination resistance goes, it's definitely a notch up. And then the durability, is obviously threefold. Application wise, the 3-year, it is still a step up in difficulty from the 365 Pro, but like, let's be real, like the 365 Pro, as far as application is concerned, it's it's
just the difference of the spritzing in the towel.
You have
that's
to
right.
You have to want
Super
to
easy.
screw up 365 Pro to like mess it up.
You'd have to try real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the same with the 3-year. That's
with this. Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, you're gonna have to try real hard to mess this one up, because it's super easy. Just the difference is you get the applicator, traditional ceramic coating application. So it's gonna take you a little bit more time, but it's tremendous. The application is just tremendous. So I'm super excited about it. Anything else you want to tell the people about this coating and its properties, that kind of deal?
Look, I guess the one thing we haven't touched on, and it comes hand in hand with anti-contamination, is anti-water spotting, right? Water spots are just the number one enemy when it comes to
it's ruined. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. So when we formulate these things, that's always the first thing I have in mind, is that I don't want people dealing with water spots, and
nice.
We don't want people unhappy. They park their car outside for a month, and I've said this time and time again, actually, on our podcast, is that these products have to be fit for purpose, right? Yep. I'll be the first person to put my hand up and say that I'm not washing my car every week. I'm not even doing it every 2 weeks. I wish I had the time. Or maybe I'm just too lazy. I don't know, or a combination of both. But I'm a once a month guy, and my car lives outside, right? So I need my car to clean up like it was last month, and not have water spots from the rain and grime and stuff like that.
Yep, and I like that it's a consumer mindset that once a month wash, this coating is going to help you out more.
Yeah.
So
and that's the reality, right? Like not everyone is washing their car every week, and look, I really do enjoy, like, who doesn't enjoy watching the water beading and the soap dispersing off the coating. It's a therapeutic thing that we go through, but that's not everyone. There's people out there that they just want a solid coating that's going to fit into their lifestyle. They probably don't have a garage. They have to park on the street in the city, and they only get time once a month. And so we want them to be happy as well. And yeah, it's all about the happy customers. That's what it is.
And that's what you're going to get if you try this coating. Get it now at thehouseofrags.com. So let's
That's
get
right.
into
It's
some,
exclusive there right now.
yeah, it is exclusive right now on our website. Getting the first dibs, so that's the only place you can get it. So go check it out. NXTZEN over there. What else should you get, Joel, while they're over there shopping for this ceramic coating? What should they try?
Geez.
What's the
Well,
top three?
obviously, I'd like to say 365 Pro is one of my favorites, but we're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, we're buying a
been
consumer coat. We're buying one of these.
exactly
bad boys.
right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Easy dry.
That's right. Actually, Easy Dry is one of the most underrated products in our range. And I think last podcast, someone was asking, "Oh, why is it so expensive?" And people don't realize the resins that go into that. It's more than just a drying aid. If anyone has that product,
tremendous.
Use it on an unprotected surface, on just a standalone, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When the water beating that you're going to achieve from that, it's actually a booster, ceramic booster as well.
For sure.
You use that on the coatings. Actually, you can use that on any brand's coatings, and it's actually going to help with the anti-contamination effect. Not to the same level as a full-blown NXTZEN ceramic coating, but as a booster,
it's got some beef behind it too, huh?
That's right. And with a lot of our products, you don't need to use a lot. You just 1 to 2 sprays a panel is all you need. Don't overuse it. It's going to go a long way, and it actually, even though the initial price is a little bit higher than some other drying aids on the market, it's a little bit goes a long way.
Do you?
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, it's tremendous. Yeah. One of my favorites that I bring up every time y'all on here, since this got smashed, you know what they're gonna have to buy? Some prep solvent. Look, nice. Prep solvent, tremendous. One of my favorite prep sprays in the game.
Any Australians will appreciate the prep solvent. It's the fragrance is Cotty's Green Cordial, and that's
that.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm going to send you guys some, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Cotty's Green Cordial. Green Cordial.
Let me see here.
It's like Australian crack.
What in the world is this?
Goes hand in hand with Tim Tams and Wheat
I pulled up soap.
There it is.
It is. This is it.
That's the stuff.
What does this do? Is this soap? What is this?
That's a syrup.
It's a syrup? Oh, natural sweetener. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to smell exactly like our prep solvent.
Yeah, minty. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's delicious. Yeah.
That is hilarious. Well, it does smell nice, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Tremendous prep solvent.
What do we have here in the States? What is that? Fabricio? Or whatever that.
Febreze?
Nah, there's some kind of detergent or cleaner or something. But
Fabuloso.
Fabuloso, that's it.
You're talking about the dollar store good stuff right there. Yeah, Fabuloso. Exactly. Yeah, that stuff will clean.
It'll clean, but man, I hate the smell of that stuff.
Yeah, I hate it too. I don't like no Fabuloso. It smells like hospitals to me or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want Tim Tams. All right, well, let's get into some questions. So if y'all can start rattling off questions, we'll get them answered for you. Unless Anthony, you got something to tell to people? What's one of your favorite NXTZEN products?
Actually, I saw somebody in the comments mention something about NXTZEN wax, and
yeah.
I've been bugging Joel for a while, so I don't know where that is on the list, but it's a possibility.
I actually have some of the raw materials there. We haven't gotten around to it.
Jeez.
One day. Yeah. SiO2 infused paste wax. Exactly.
I bet you can whip up a 5-year wax.
We'll whip something up. Imagine that. Actually, that'd be that's like nice. full circle back to when I first came to wax,
right?
That would be something else. All right, first question. Celtic, Interior Shine. Paul, question for Joel. Does the amount of graphene that is in a bottle of product make a difference at all compared to a non-graphene product? Is it a buzzword?
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. So I don't agree with the way that graphene is used in marketing for some products. They talk about specifically like anti-water spotting. Graphene.
When it got launched, it forms a latex barrier on top of your ceramic coating as it cures and water spot resistant.
Yeah, that's incorrect. So when we talk about coatings, even though they're microscopically thin, we still have to think about them in a three-dimensional form. So it's a three-dimensional matrix, and the graphene is actually reinforcing that matrix. So that's called cohesion of the coating, strengthens the bonds within the coating. But it actually also increases adhesion to the substrate. So we've done all the lab testing on this, and the amount of graphene definitely makes a difference. So if I go into our pro products, that we have two graphene products there, the graphene serum and the GSO2. The GSO2 actually has almost 10 times the amount of graphene in the formulation. And off the top of my head, I don't have the exact number, but the multiplier as far as adhesion strength is concerned is about 3 times. So if we've obviously compared the formulations with 0 graphene, stepping up to the graphene serum there, you can see that one there, up to the Elite GSO2. So the 3 materials we actually tested was Elite, the Elite GSO2, and the graphene serum. The graphene serum is actually a more aggressive bond to the substrate than Elite alone with no graphene. And then the graphene serum, which just has a ridiculous amount of graphene oxide in it, was 3-fold above the graphene serum. So it's definitely not a buzzword, but I would say to people, just be cautious with the product that you're buying and the marketing behind it.
It's not a marketing company.
Yeah, and like, just do your own research. The best thing for people to read is go and read some scientific articles about graphene and what scientists are using it for in other industries. I may have mentioned this on a podcast before, but they're even using it in concrete to increase the strength of concrete. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So graphene goes way beyond our industry. It's still new to us, but it's been around for a while now, and it's even bigger in some other industries. So yeah, if you want to read about graphene, don't read the descriptions of products in our industry. Go and read scientific articles. That's right. Yeah. And that's where you'll find the truth.
I noticed yours isn't like a black tinted. It doesn't seem. What's going on there?
So that's actually an old formulation. So our initial formulation had very low levels in it. Yeah. So it was like a tinted color. And the reason it was like that initially was because we couldn't get it balanced with the higher levels in it. So it took us a while to get to the formulations that we've got now. But if anyone's seen the latest graphene serum and the GSO2, you might have seen it at one of the shows, the SEMA or at MTE. It's like black tar now. Yeah, so it looks like that, but once you get down to the nanoscale, it's actually transparent. So
nice. Georgina is from the UK, so she's realizing that they already have the NXTZEN ceramic coating in the UK. Georgina, you missed the beginning. So the UK version, how's it different from the US version again?
All right. So the UK version, what you've got there, that is the European version that we shipped out.
Means it's good.
Yeah. So full disclaimer. The coating that's there right now in the UK, that's the European one. You're going to find that it's not as strong as the current formulation. So We will be shipping the updated version there as soon as possible. But yeah, that is a different formulation. And actually, the difficulty with Europe and USA is that the solvents in the USA aren't allowed, particularly as of next year in Europe, and the ones that we use in Europe aren't compatible with the Californian regulations.
Really?
So yeah. So
I'll
we're
be done.
yeah, the Europeans are probably aware of this. That 2026, there's some huge changes coming across the industry over there as far as chemicals are concerned. So we're already starting to reformulate things to fit in with their regulations there.
Nice. So these are the pro coatings. Anthony, which one is your favorite of these?
For application, I would say graphene serum. For like just regular use and upkeep, it would be the 365 Pro. But for overall like looks, it'd probably be the Elite GSO2. That gives me.
Is that the Big Daddy?
Yeah. I mean, it's a beast of a coating, but that probably gives me the best overall gloss, reflection, depending on your color.
9-year warranty.
And your hydrophobic properties.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that rolls into, how do you get a NXTZEN Pro account?
Just go to the NXTZEN website and click on. There should be a banner in there. It's gonna say create an account, and you just fill it in. Then click on Pro account, or you could just email me, Anthony@nextzen.com, and
Anthony.
I'll get you set up.
Easy. Yeah, he'll get you set up. There you go. And then you have access to all these epic coatings. What else does a Pro account provide for the NXTZEN Pro installers? You have access to then join us on Facebook. You can join us in our dealer group, our private dealer group. Then you have access to all kinds of
there's bulk discounts as well,
paperwork, and there's going to be discounts involved, but you get flyers and all kinds of brochures. Watch some videos that Joel puts up there, and then you get the ability to communicate with other NXTZEN dealers that are all around the world. If you have an issue or something, you're in a really cold climate. Well, you can ask some other detailers and stuff that are kind of in that same type of climate, what to expect here and there. Or if you're in the swamps like we are, you can ask people about that also. There you go. Sign on up. Let's see. So B. Riley says, so Joel, from a process perspective, what does one do at the 1 year mark? Are we fully polishing again? Adhesion promoter, reapplying? Well, that's up to the individual, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So I guess if you're talking, you're not happy with the condition of the paint, you might have some scratches and swirl marks in there. It doesn't need a complete paint correction. When you're polishing, even though as far as our eyes are concerned, the paint looks absolutely flawless. If you on a microscopic level, you're actually scuffing up the surface as far as a coating is concerned. So if you want to do a quick polish and remove some marks and then go again, you don't need to worry about the whole coating being removed. You're just going to be able to do the correction you need to do, use some prep solvent to remove the oils from the polish, and then you're just going to be able to coat straight over that again.
What is your thoughts on like primer polishes? I think that's what he was reaching, like that adhesion promoter. Right. I think like a primer polish. What is NXTZEN's thoughts on that?
No, it absolutely. Primer polishes are a thing. The materials that go into those products, they actually do what they say. They promote adhesion to the surface, and in some cases they can actually make the coating process a little bit easier. it definitely is something that's on our radar. We just haven't.
Where's it at, Joel?
Yeah, look, we don't want to put out something that's half baked kind of thing, and just be another Me Too product. So it's on our radar, and I have no doubt that at some point in the near future, you will see that from our product range. But as far as some of the other brands that I've seen out there with these products, absolutely, it is legitimate chemistry.
So how does it work? And break it down for us.
Yeah, so the materials that they're putting in these, it's basically increasing the adhesion to the surface and helping with the cross-linking process, a smoother cross-linking process. So less high spots, easier wipe off. We've seen. Of course, we've purchased some other brands and had to play around with ourselves to see what they're up to, and looked at some of their SDSs where they're available, and it confirms everything that we know from our own research. That they're doing the same thing that we intend to do. So, if I'm sure Thor are carrying some of these products, and if that's the kind of thing you're looking for. Yeah,
I don't even know if we do or not.
Chat,
we got a primer polish.
Labo Cosmetica. You guys carry Labo Cosmetica?
Yes. Yeah. Fierro is my favorite one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one.
So some of our pro installers are using that. Before applying NXTZEN coatings, and
go get you a bottle of Fierro or Prepsa, whichever way you want to go, whichever technology you believe in, and get you that NXTZEN ceramic.
Yeah, it'll work with our coating as well. That's confirmed.
C6 app. Yep. That's what I think he was referring to earlier.
Okay.
Promoter adhesion promoter polish. I figured out in a minute.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but I'm assuming that it's the same as the other ones that we've seen and tested. It's a great product for our industry, and to make things easier for people.
Yep. All right, next question. So there you go. That was a good one. I've always been like, is this really working? You know what I mean? Like, I do. I like to just wipe, get straight to coating though. So, good deal there. What about you, Anthony? You like a good? What are you doing down there?
There was a couple of that we used to use. Me personally, I just polish, and then I'll just use the prep solvent.
Old school. Keep it straightforward. Once you try the NXTZEN, I ain't lying. Look, NXTZEN prep solvent, it's good. It's good. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, actually, our PPF guys use it. Our tint guy uses it. Our vinyl, if installing vinyl, it is good.
Corey, do you have any info on how the molecules actually link together? I think we're talking back to graphene. I think.
So that comes to the hydroxy groups again. So graphene oxide, pure graphene. It doesn't have these functional groups. So someone can jump onto Google and bring up an image of graphene oxide. You'll see these functional groups that come off the end of everyone's seen like the lattice hexagonal design, right?
That was the big promotion, is it forms this hex.
So it's similar to how I was discussing earlier about you got the oxygen and the hydrogen, and then they're bonding that way. So it's similar with the graphene oxide. So you've got pure pristine graphene, which doesn't have any of these functional groups. You've got reduced graphene oxide, which is basically it's been treated chemically to reduce some of these functional groups, and then you've got graphene oxide, which is what we're using, and we call it graphene superoxide. So we actually want more of these functional groups. So at pristine graphene or reduced graphene oxide, you're reducing the amount of, let's call it, reactivity because you've got less functional groups to bond with. So the more hydroxyl groups that you can get on there, the more bonding that you're having. So it's similar to the substrate with the SiO, and we're bonding the graphene oxide with the polymer.
Nice. There you go. Graphene deep dive. David, is ZNR okay for cleaning before coating, or does it require polishing for the protection left behind? So is it leaving behind a heavy polymer or panel wipe?
Yeah. I'll tell you a story about this. Once upon a time in another role that I had in this industry, I was actually in China doing a demonstration with another rinseless wash. And it was considered a pure rinseless wash, like we say for ZNR. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any prep solvent. I was doing a coating demonstration, and I was told, "Oh, just use the rinseless wash, and then you can coat straight over it." So if you can just picture me in another country with about 30 people watching me on a coat a black car and the coating go completely hazy. Ever since that day, I've always stuck with just use a panel wipe after it. I don't care what the products say as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you would think the solvents in the ceramic would kind of take care of any leftover polymers from rinseless wash. So what happens there? Chemically?
Yeah, so it's just a reaction. The rinseless wash, it's actually an emulsion. So you've got a water component and an oil component, and it doesn't matter which way you spin it. It's going to react, unfortunately,
in a negative way.
In a negative way, yeah. And I take it from me who discovered this in a rather embarrassing way. I can't recommend it. So look, ZNR is more on the pure side as far as rinseless washes go, but I would not recommend trying to coat straight over the top of it. You might get away with it, but you might not. And then you're just going to have to do it all over again.
Over again. Yeah. How hard is it to polish off one of these pro level NXTZEN coatings, Anthony? Pretty tough, or what?
The GSO2 dual layer, it can be. So, you might have to go through some steps to get to pure paint.
Yeah.
365, maybe the ceramic professional, not so much, but
for sure. When
you get up into the elite and the GSO2, yeah, it's gonna take, and everybody bases that on as long as it doesn't bead anymore.
Yeah.
But if you have really nice, clean paint, if anybody in there is a painter, and they've laid down fresh paint, and you come back 24 hours and you get it wet, it's going to bead.
Yep.
Almost to where you would like, oh, well, it's got something on it. No, it's just got surface tension. But yeah, once like if you know the attributes of a coating, right, when you hit it with the pressure washer or whatever, and the way the water reacts to it, after you've polished it really well, it'll bead, but the water won't have the same reaction, if that makes any sense. And then
how do we know it's all gone?
Actually, so if I had a pressure washer and I had one panel that was coated and one panel that was just clean, the coated panel, the water kind of dances on it. And on the uncoated, it will bead and then kind of sheet and pull up together.
It's going to be stickier.
Yeah.
There you go. Joe, you got any tips for that? Like removing an old coating before recoating? What's a good test to make sure it's gone?
Yeah, look, as far as it's what I said before. It's as long as the surface has been roughed up, it's not going to be an issue in most cases. But certainly wiping over the surface, it should be flat. You shouldn't see any of the the usual characteristics from a coating where the water wants to sort of separate and get that that sort of growing circular effect. So as long as the coating itself doesn't beat up on the surface, it's going to bond after polishing due to the microscopic abrasion of what was there before.
So you can just like scar a coating and put the new coating on. You should be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
Nice.
like scuffing and repainting, but just on a microscopic level.
Yeah, because we go into the consumer coating. Sounds like a pretty tough coating, and if you are that person that gets to 12 months and you're like, all right, I'm gonna give it a quick buzz, prep solvent, throw it on there. Hopefully, no one runs into any.
A quick buzz and recoat. You're not going to have any issues.
Good to go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's let me see. Is that the question? Yeah. That's all the questions I got. If anybody got any last minute questions, we got a couple minutes here. Joe, we got anything as we're winding down here?
You guys going to come to MTE again?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Nice.
Definitely Roman is the way to go. No booth. You just show up, have a good time, go to NXTZEN booth, get handed
stuff. It's actually they're going back to the old location this year as well.
Yep. Heard that.
And I see you guys have got a monster booth at SEMA.
Monster booth, that's right. And we're stacking it up. Where's y'all coming to SEMA?
No, we're missing it this year. We've got some. Oh no. We've got some other things that are going on. I sort of touched on it with 2026, and you're going to see like a whole new relaunch for next year to coincide with that. So we are busy, and we are almost going to commit to it, but it was just biting off a bit too much. So I don't know. We might be there. Maybe we'll take the roaming approach and
there
just
come
and hang around
the House of
come and hang
Rags
around
booth.
the Thor booth.
Yep. Yeah. We're gonna do like I don't want to spoil too much, but we're gonna do it right this year. So there'll be you can come in, probably be live like the whole time. We'll see. We're gonna do it right this year for the people, and we're gonna make it a show.
Anyone who hasn't seen the map, like I can confirm the Thor booth, they've gone big.
Yeah. We're bringing a gang. Yeah, they're coming.
Cool.
They're coming to represent. So
that's cool.
Like 1 year, we're gonna team up because that NXTZEN booth is insane. All right, I'm very impressed with the NXTZEN booth. What you got, Anthony?
I'm gonna go on the road and bring SEMA to some shops.
There you go. Bring it to some shops. And that'll do it for this one. All right, everybody. I don't see no more questions, so I think that is it. We got the NXTZEN consumer coating available now on the website. Again, this one died, but we'll get a restock of that. That way you can have a full kit with the prep solvent and off to the races. That's it. That's all I got, people. Anthony, got anything on the way
Thanks for having us.
Well, that's it, man. Thank you very much for having us, and good luck with everything there. You guys are doing great.
Appreciate it, Anthony. Appreciate it. All right, that's all we got on this one, Joe. Always a pleasure. If you got any more, actually, you did send me some. Always put up something. So stay tuned for the future. Appreciate it, gentlemen. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.